Welcome to this week's Resilience by Default podcast. Today, we're exploring an explainer of Terry's article, which proposes a really bold, highly integrated framework for a more secure and self-reliant Britain. It challenges a lot of established norms, asking us to move away from reactive, daily firefighting and instead step firmly toward building permanent national capability. We're going to unpack exactly what that means for security, industry, and the everyday economy. Terry's article is highly structured, so we'll just use this roadmap to navigate. We'll be looking at 1. The Interconnected National Program, 2. Securing Borders and Homeland, 3. Rebuilding Industry and Skills, 4. Pragmatic Energy and Climate, 5. Funding and Legal Reforms, and finally, 6. The New National Bargain. Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the Interconnected National Program, treating Britain's pressures as one.
The core thesis here is that treating national pressures as isolated policy problems is a massive mistake. When a government treats every crisis in a silo, it completely misses the bigger picture. True resilience requires a unified approach. It's kind of like maintaining a house, right? If you only fix a leak in the roof without ever checking the foundation, you're going to keep getting wet. You just can't patch over isolated problems and expect the whole structure to hold up in a storm.
Just think about how we currently handle things. Take the 46,497 illegal entries recorded for the year ending December 2025, or the severe strain on our armed forces, our declining industrial capacity, or even energy insecurity. Right now, these are managed by completely separate departments, but Terry's article argues they aren't separate crises at all. They are symptoms of a fragmented system. If they were tackled as one unified national program, Britain could strengthen its borders, boost its economy, and elevate its civil resilience all at the exact same time. Moving on to Section 2, Securing Borders and Homeland, Integrating Military and Civilian Defense. Terry's article maintains that if someone has no legal right to enter the UK, the state absolutely must have the integrated capability to prevent that entry or remove them swiftly. Achieving that level of order isn't easy, though. It requires genuine operational integration across border force, the intelligence agencies, local police, and the military. It demands a totally unified front. And this brilliantly illustrates the proposed domestic division of labor. You've got the Royal Navy handling the high-tech maritime security, using advanced drones, radar arrays, and rapid interception in the channel. Meanwhile, the Army's domestic role provides a highly scalable reserve capacity during national emergencies. Imagine having the immense logistical power of the Army ready to protect critical national infrastructure when civilian capacity is overwhelmed. But military capacity is only half the equation. To achieve total homeland security, Terry's article outlines a modern 21st century civil defense service. The threats have shifted dramatically to things like cyber attacks and extreme weather, so the concept here is a national reserve. It brings together everyday citizens, cybersecurity professionals, engineers, medical volunteers, giving people a structured way to contribute directly to national resilience. Which brings us to Section 3, Rebuilding Industry and Skills. Security requires capacity. What's really fascinating here is how Terry's article connects those security measures directly to domestic economic growth, because true resilience absolutely requires capacity. If a major global supply chain disruption hits and we can't manufacture critical equipment here at home, we are totally exposed. So Terry's article identifies specific, strategically important manufacturing sectors like defense, shipbuilding, cyber technology, advanced materials, and pharmaceuticals that Britain must actively incentivize to retain on domestic soil. To put that into perspective, look at the £298 billion committed to the Defence Investment Plan over 4 years. Terry's article argues that the government shouldn't just be blindly buying equipment off the shelf, it should be buying lasting industrial capability. The proposal is that every major contract must automatically generate high-quality apprenticeships and regional employment. Under a resilience by default model, security spending becomes a direct engine for the economy. Let's look at Section 4, Pragmatic Energy and Climate, Managing the Transition. Terry's article firmly establishes the energy sector as a matter of national security, and it makes a highly pragmatic case regarding the current transition. The reality is, Britain's territorial emissions account for less than 1% of the global total, yet we still desperately need a stable supply of oil and gas during this multi-decade transition phase. So Terry's article argues that prematurely shutting down viable domestic North Sea oil and gas production only to increase our reliance on volatile foreign imports is a major resilience risk. We need to manage the transition practically. Okay, Section 5, Funding and Legal Reforms, Creating the Virtuous Circle.
So, how do we actually pay for all this? Terry's article points out the massive reactive costs currently draining the system. Just think about this number, £4 billion. That's what was spent last year alone on asylum accommodation and support, including hotels. That is a staggering sum of taxpayer money essentially vanishing into short-term emergency management instead of building long-term capability.
To fix this, Terry's article outlines a virtuous circle. It's a logical sequence. As successful integrated border enforcement dramatically reduces illegal crossings, you get lower accommodation costs. Then, a ring-fence proportion of those savings is recycled directly back into permanent national security and resilience capabilities. Better enforcement leads to lower costs, which funds even better enforcement.
Of course, executing this plan brings up complex legal realities. Terry's article impartially notes that to achieve this, Parliament might need to fundamentally reform human rights interpretations. This could even include potential withdrawal from the European Convention on Human Rights. The text is clear that this would be a profound constitutional decision, one requiring open democratic debate.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, the new national bargain, building permanent capability.
This stark contrast really summarizes the ultimate goal of Terry's article. A pound spent on an emergency hotel room disappears the very next morning, but a pound spent developing a British engineer or building out domestic manufacturing lasts for decades. The core philosophy of resilience by default is that security spending shouldn't merely consume national wealth, it should actively create long-term wealth, jobs, and strategic independence. So it leaves us with a highly provocative question. Will Britain continue the costly habit of reacting to isolated problems as they pop up, forever plugging that leaky roof? Or will it commit to building true resilience by default, transforming these interconnected pressures into a unified national program? It's definitely a fascinating perspective on long-term national strategy. Podcasts released every Tuesday on Spotify and YouTube. Like, subscribe, and repost. It helps us build a channel and focus on what's important to you.